Okay, I have to speak up here. I am one of the most vocal proponents, is that the word, against sexual abuse and, people touching people or intentionally, because a lot of times this day and age you can somehow be fumbled into touching someone and apologize and, keep your hands in your pockets. There must be a lot of people who keep their hands in their pockets all the time. As a teacher, I always try to keep myself, which is sad really, 2 to 3 feet from a student, just because, through eternity, somehow, most of us were taught not to have very much contact except for vocal and kindness with our students. Proximity, most of us, or maybe through my eternity, was taught not to be one of those teachers who hug and coddle and get too close to the children, just to let them know that you're there for them by physically being in the same room, and to always keep your distance, a chair or a table or something between you and students, and there will never be a question of anything like that, or somebody trying to, the physicality of pushing or having something. But poor Bill Cosby. I watched that man on television programming for years and years and years. And he functioned in his industry for years and years and years. And he was one of the greatest voices for familyhood and fatherhood. And his television programs always shared what was currently going on with families and with children, and dealt with it in a very concrete manner with suggestions on how to deal with things, and reminded people to be a family. And here they were, the African American family, offering a successful alternative, or not alternative, but a successful path for families. All all nationalities of families could look up to them and just get some ideas. My family loved that particular show, loved Bill Cosby as a comedian. But what I find funny, and I just can't get it, well, I do get it, whether he did or didn't touch somebody, when there's only a few cases in a particular period of time, okay, and perhaps somebody should check to see if the women are have any connection, or if there was some connection of where they were. Not that the women did it, but sometimes there seems to be what they call the loop, that goes on to groups of people where everybody becomes a victim. Not just the women, him also. The women are still victims, and so is he. But sometimes somebody may play with things, or just the way things occur in life. But to have had Bill Cosby continue to work in public all of these years after these statements were made, because I can remember when they were made several years ago, and to suddenly now come back at him with all these allegations, not to call him old or senile or having anything wrong with his mental health or his ability to defend himself, but obviously as we age, the Innu, for one group, respect their elders and consider that as their elders reach a certain age, they should be elevated to a status where they're cared for and respected, extra respect, and looked upon as a source for learning, and just treated politely, because they're reaching, especially if you believe in God or a higher power, the end of their life on earth, within the 10 to 20 to 30 year span. If we go 100 as the upper limit, the normal upper limit. But you do start having, you're starting to connect yourself to your heaven, to your non-physical eternity. You're dealing with everything that's in your life that has to do with anyone else who has to do with your life, that may have to do with your life after you're gone, all at one time. And to come now and to start hitting at this man when he's nearing the end of his life in what doesn't look to be a kind manner. And I'm not saying that if a person has been abused, they shouldn't say, but it's just, if they had already said, is it because they think his defenses are weakened and they may get something from him, or may degrade him? Or is it because he's not going to fight back as clearly or even remember the situations as well to fight back? Not because I agree with abuse, because I'm one of the worst ones, as they call it, for standing up against women being raped or demeaned or abused. But is there some reason that it's happening to him with all of that space in between, now that he's reached this age in my life and in his life? And I'm sorry, there you go, the spirits that will. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow. There are just certain things. I apologize to him myself for belaboring it, but I always have admired that man. And as so many actors who are there in the midst of it all, I've seen him being what I would call beaten since all of these oil and gas wars. You can just see the persona of him, the spirituality around him, him dealing with the world in television programming that I have watched of him. If you look at somebody who was a strong character, who has done their best to make strong points for mankind and God, you can see it occurring. And there is something we are not dealing with.